wizard, and he's withered. I think it's funny.
Blades, on my mark.
Bell.
Begin! You have no right to speak.
Not bad, my man.
That's impossible!
Ray White, die you!
Meet Ray White, an ugly little simp who thinks he's blending in, but everyone sees he's pathetic. He fumbles spells like he's fapping under the desk, stares at girls he'll never pull, and moves like a walking L. Dude's the kind of loser you find crying over his wand at night, hoping magic fixes his life, when really he's just the Academy's clown. The story kicked off at a funeral where Ray stood looking like life had just piled a truckload of misery on him. His head drifted back to the battlefield, where Howard, beaten to a pulp and barely hanging on, shoved one last order at him to keep living before finally going down for good. That memory hit hard, and when Ray glanced back, he caught sight of a girl lying flat on the ground. Something inside him snapped. His anger blew wide open, and with one scream, a wave of icy power ripped out of him. The air cracked under the weight of it. Onlookers muttered that the magic looked overheated, and when it all settled, Ray walked off with the girl in his arms. Not long after, Ray turned up at Arnold Academy, a place stacked with royals where family name usually counted more than actual brains. He wandered the halls trying to figure out where to go, then froze in his tracks like an amateur. A girl behind him nearly slammed into his back, but he caught her hand and steadied her with more flair than he probably meant to show. Her face lit up red, though she still managed to scold him for stopping in the middle of the path. Ray threw in a quick apology, saying he was new around here. The pack of girls behind her whispered among themselves, connecting the dots fast. This had to be the kid who missed the entrance ceremony. They added that he wasn't from some shiny noble house either, just a plain old regular family. That little detail spread fast. The girl's face twisted with shock at the idea that someone ordinary was standing in their academy. A few others started whispering too, saying this had to be him, the one exception. When the girl suddenly pretended that his touch had somehow tainted her and promptly fainted, Ray stood there more confused than guilty. At that moment, another student appeared, Albert. He eyed Ray and asked if he was the new one. Ray politely extended a hand, but Albert brushed it away like he'd just been offered something cheap, announcing that this place was only for royals and commoners had no business here. Ray kept his calm, saying he was here to learn, but Albert's pride boiled over and he moved to strike. Ray blocked him without much effort, which only stoked Albert's temper further. He swung again, no! But before things escalated, a girl stepped in and shut it down. Her presence alone was enough to make Albert back off. She introduced herself as Amelia, a member of one of the Academy's top 3 families. Ray thanked her, and they exchanged names with a firm handshake. Amelia noted that he was the first ordinary student ever admitted to the Academy, which in her view meant his talent had to be exceptional. She told him if anyone caused trouble, he should come straight to her. Ray accepted her kindness with quiet gratitude. Later, all the students gathered in the main hall where the principal, Abby, gave her speech. She welcomed everyone to Arnold Academy, which she proudly called the best in the world. She reminded them that their talent got them in, but arrogance would get them nowhere. They had to put in effort day after day if they wanted their gifts to grow, and their goal was simple: become the finest sorcerers out there. With that, she signed off. Then came the turn for the first-year representative. Stepping up with steady confidence, Amelia declared that studying here was an honor, but it also came with responsibility. Challenges would pile up, but their duty as students was to face them head-on and push through, just like the principal had said. When classes finally began, the chatter didn't stop. Whispers followed Ray as he introduced himself, admitting openly that he was the first ordinary student in the school's history. He promised to give his best and said he was glad to be there. The room stayed hushed, though most of the students silently wondered how someone like him even made it in. The teacher, Ariani, asked them to just call her Miss Olgren and told Ray to take his seat. Once he sat down, Amelia leaned over and remarked that she had been waiting to study beside him. Ray returned the sentiment without hesitation, which made the other students stare in disbelief. To them, Amelia's friendliness toward him was unthinkable. Meanwhile, Albert sat nearby, his anger simmering like a kettle ready to boil. Ray slid into his seat and let his eyes wander out the window, where his mind painted the land torn apart in ruins. The weight of those thoughts pressed down until a piece of chalk came flying his way. He caught it between 2 fingers like it was nothing, and the chalk snapped into dust. The teacher froze for a moment, but he calmly nudged her back to the lesson. She cleared her throat and began talking about ranks, which turned out to be the backbone of their society. bronze at the bottom, then silver, gold, and platinum, and finally the top shelf, the supreme level. Only a handful reached that height, known across the world as the 7 strongest sorcerers. Their names stayed hidden, but whispers circled. Everyone knew the Academy's principal, the Iceblade Sorcerer himself, Ray, though that truth remained buried under his cover. Another was Abby, one of the 7, and also Lydia, a famed sorceress from the battlefield. As for the rest, their faces remained shrouded in mystery. The teacher explained that students came here with dreams of climbing that ladder. Albert, never one to miss a chance, stood up and mocked the idea of a commoner like Ray even thinking about it. The teacher cut him down quickly, reminding the class that anyone who passed the trials belonged here, title or no title. Albert sank back into his seat with a sour face. In the next class, they moved on to actual sorcery practice. The teacher asked Amelia to define it, and Amelia calmly described it as reshaping the world's basic materials. The teacher nodded, then walked them through the steps. First you encode a material into a code, then rearrange it, picture the result, and finally bring it into reality. She proved her point by creating a delicate crystal flower, then made it fade into nothing. One by one, students raised their voices. A shy girl with half her face hidden asked if advanced coding really existed, the kind that could break something like that crystal flower. The teacher admitted it did, though it belonged in the realm of high-level theory, far beyond what they needed now. Practice kicked off. Amelia crafted a crystal rose so flawless, it had the whole class whispering about how her skill matched her noble standing. Meanwhile, Ray's hands stubbornly refused to shape anything. Albert naturally smirked and tossed a remark about wasted talent. Later that day, Ray drifted into the library and spotted the same shy girl again. She was tucked between shelves, looking for something. She introduced herself as Elisa and confessed she admired Dr. Worth, wanting to follow his path. She asked if Ray respected him too, and Ray answered sincerely that he did. When Ray gently asked why she hid her face, Elisa grew nervous, covering herself again. He reached out and assured her there was no reason to hide. She admitted her ears, inherited from her elf mother, made her a target for teasing. Ray told her those ears were beautiful, and she should never cover them. Elisa flushed pink, but looked quietly relieved. Evening rolled around, and Ray finally met his roommate. Evi greeted him with a firm handshake, and just like that, they hit it off. The next morning, Ray went jogging and ran into another student. She introduced herself as Rebecca, a 3rd year from the Bradley family. Later, Ray told Evie about her, and his roommate almost jumped, pointing out that she came from one of the 3 great royal families. Evi filled him in on the big 3. Amelia's house, the Bradley line, and a 3rd family. Amelia, as the eldest daughter, had always been the shining star of her lineage. Not long after, Ray bumped into another girl rushing past.
Kimi.
She huffed that he was dangerous, though it was clear she was the one speeding. After a quick apology, she realized he was the new student everyone gossiped about. Ray introduced himself and jokingly dubbed her the charming lady, which immediately brightened her mood. She revealed her name, Clarice, and carried herself with cheerful flair. Ray admitted he had never heard of her family, which stunned her, but she brushed it off with a laugh, saying her family was famous enough, even if he didn't know. Ray casually complimented her beauty, claiming her family must be just as striking, and she happily told him he could use her first name. Later, Abby called Ray into her office. She welcomed him warmly and told him to drop the stiff formality. On her desk sat a photo, hinting at a past she wasn't about to explain. Soon enough, Ray found himself across from Albert again, this time in a sword duel. The instructor warned them he would step in if things got ugly. The fight began with Albert charging in full of arrogance, only for Ray to parry and drive his sword into the ground. The crowd gasped, and Ray coolly reminded Albert that his insults carried no weight. Furious, Albert swung again, but Ray shattered his blade in one strike. The duel was over, the students buzzing with shock. Amelia watched from the side, smiling gently as she remarked to him that it looked like he was settling into academy life just fine. Later on, it turned out the students weren't just fooling around. They were actually thrown into a dangerous exercise. When it wrapped up, they downed protein shakes like gym rats and dropped into their seats. Evi leaned in and poked at Ray, asking if he could really handle 2 clubs at once. Ray just shrugged, saying he had just rolled in and wanted to try everything. They warned him it would chew him up, but he flashed a gold card, acting like it was no big deal. Everyone stared, thinking he had to be joking. Not long after, he walked into a room packed with muscle heads. The leader sat in the middle like a boss and asked if Ray was there for the Environment Research Club. According to him, they roamed forests, rivers, and snowy wastelands, calling themselves hunters and keeping out weaklings with soft minds or soft bodies. He told Ray to strip and show his build first. Ray didn't flinch, pulled his shirt off, and the room went dead quiet. His muscles weren't the fake, puffed kind. They were raw and solid, the kind you earned sweating in the dirt. He said he had trained in the backwoods, and when he whipped out the golden card again, the whole crew lost it. A gold hunter license was almost unheard of. The leader grinned, called him a beast, and offered him a spot as a pillar. Ray accepted, and the boys cheered like kids at a street fight. After that, Ray strolled into another club, this one full of girls. He said he liked plants, even the ones tough enough to sprout in battlefields. The girls looked him up and down, reminding him no boys usually joined. He grinned, saying he was fine with it. Just when things were going smooth, Clara stood up, shooting him down and saying he had dirty intentions. A few others backed her, claiming no way should a boy, let alone a commoner, get in. Ray didn't argue, just kept quiet. Rebecca, the leader, cooled the room and handed Clarice the choice. Clarice smirked and took it. On the terrace, Clarice gave him his test. Clear out the ugly overgrown grass and make it garden-ready in a week. Ray didn't whine, he just got to work. And by the end of the first day, he had already hacked through a ton. Rebecca watched from the shadows, later dropping off food like she was checking in on him. Over a meal, she revealed she was the student council president and from a top family, which caught him off guard. As they chatted, they overheard sword fights below, 2 kids training for the magic sword competition. Rebecca explained the stakes and teased him about joining. He played it cool, saying maybe. Then she asked to check his muscles, and he let her. She praised his training, and he mentioned the forests again. By the 4th day, the terrace was spotless, and Clarice had no choice but to admit he nailed it. Rebecca smiled, saying it was time to plant flowers. Ray's mind drifted to a talk with the principal, who had slipped him a letter about spies from the Empire sneaking into the academy. She told him to stay sharp and report quietly. He had agreed. Back in the present, Ray stumbled across Clarice sitting on the ground, looking spooked. She told him not to creep up on her like that. He apologized, then asked what she was up to. Clarice confessed that while other nobles played with dogs and cats, she preferred instincts, which made people call her odd. Ray said it wasn't odd at all and asked to be her friend. Clarice froze, since she had never had friends before, but she agreed. The girl lit up like a firecracker, making him promise to share jungle stories later. He agreed, enjoying her goofy excitement. The next day, the teacher called on Ray in class. He stood and broke down sorcery derivations like it was a grocery list. Low grade, mid grade, high grade, holy grade. Then came the stages: seek, remote, chain and delay, material shift, extension, and finally exchange. 7 in total. The teacher clapped for him, shocking the class into silence. Right after, she announced a forest exercise. Teams of 4 would survive 24 hours, grab jackpot tags, and avoid being chewed up by monsters. Fail, and they would repeat the year like losers. Teams formed quick. Ray got pulled into one, but insisted they needed more. He invited Elisa, who admitted she was weak, but he reassured her, so she joined. Then Amelia stepped in. With Evi, they were 4, and the room buzzed while Albert scowled like a spoiled brat. The forest trial began. Elisa looked ready to faint, but Amelia comforted her. Ray casually said he was used to these ugly, wild places from hunting in the mountains, and tucked Elisa in the middle of the formation. When Amelia asked about his past, he said the forest held plenty of memories. Soon, a monster lunged at Elisa, but Ray cut it in half like it was nothing.
Okay, now it's first monster. Cut in half with...
Thanks. Shall we?
Leaving the others stunned. They carried on, found tags, and grew cheerful, while other groups stumbled around. That night, by the fire, Evi and Amelia praised him for making monster slaying look easy. Amelia called him amazing, and Evi added that Amelia herself was bold for teaming up with a so-called commoner. Amelia brushed it off, saying she didn't care about ugly titles and enjoyed their company. Elisa agreed and smiled, while Amelia hugged her and called her cute. Evi said they trusted Ray, which dragged him back to memories of war. He wondered if a guy like him deserved peace at all. As they slept, Ray remembered his master's words. One day, when he found real friends, he could stop hiding who he was. He lay awake, wondering if that moment was closer than he thought. At dawn, Screams split the air. Ray sprinted forward and found Albert's group cornered by a nasty beast. He unleashed his power and cut it down with ease. When he offered Albert a hand, the guy shoved it away, spitting that he could have handled it himself. Ray coolly asked if Albert had some secret plan, leaving him speechless. Others arrived as Ray explained the fight. Amelia pressed him, asking if he had really done it alone. He nodded. She then asked who he really was. Before he could answer, a hidden creep behind the trees revived the monster, twisting it into something even dirtier and more dangerous. The beast turned its sights on Amelia and Ray, ready to strike. A shady guy showed up and revived the monster Ray had already put down, only this time the beast came back nastier and stronger than before. The crowd panicked the second it roared. Meanwhile, Claris's group was walking nearby when the same roar shook the forest. They followed the noise and froze at the sight of that ugly monster. Claris had never seen anything that dirty and dangerous, and it rattled her. Ray launched the first attack, but his strikes bounced off. The thing's hide was tougher now. The monster charged, and for a moment, Ray thought about unleashing his full power. Before he could, Amelia stepped in with her sorcery, and Evi heaved a massive rock like it weighed nothing. Ray called to Elisa, and she fired her spell, boosting the rock until it smashed into the monster at high speed. Ray seized the opening and finished the beast. Strange black liquid oozed out, splattering all over Albert's team. Elisa trembled and clung to Amelia, who comforted her, saying she had done great. Ray thanked everyone, the teamwork tugging at his old battlefield memories. Albert rushed to drag his friends out, but they muttered the obvious, that Ray was stronger. Hearing that sent Albert into a rage, and he shut them up with his usual loser pride. Claris stood stunned, watching Ray cut down a monster that none of them could handle. Off to the side, the masked man who had revived the beast stared at Ray's group, then vanished. Ray's team planted the checkpoint tag, and the exam wrapped up. The teacher later announced the winners, Amelia's group. The science students gasped, and Claris even clapped, though she quickly stopped when her teammates glared. 3 stuck-up girls muttered that Ray's win only happened because Amelia was there. Evi rolled his eyes, saying the crowd wasn't going to give them credit anyway. Elisa told him not to bother with ugly talk like that, while another classmate added they were still first place and no one could change it. Albert, of course, boiled with fury. Amelia looked at him and muttered that nobles were so pathetic they couldn't even praise a commoner, which was exactly why she disliked them. Their teacher overheard every word. Elsewhere, Ray's master sat waiting. She sighed, complaining that it had been 2 months and he still hadn't come back. People could change in 3 days, and who knew what kind of trouble he was wrapped in. Just then, her maid rushed in, saying Ray had arrived. The master fixed her hair, put on a smile, and went to greet him. At the gate, the maid welcomed Ray inside. Lydia, his master, looked him over and remarked that he had grown. Ray said he didn't feel like he had. They sat down, and she asked about his condition. He admitted he was a little better, but not fully healed. She shook her head, saying that Scar would take more than 5 years to fade. His power was forbidden, but if push came to shove, he could use it, since it was hers to give. Ray shifted the topic, asking about a rumor among sorcery researchers. Lydia brushed it off at first, but then admitted this one mattered because it was tied to engrams. She explained that while normal sorcery relied on codes, her work focused on the brain itself. Sorcery ran in the brain, and through research she had discovered a twofold theory. The part of the brain storing sorcery memory was called the engram. By mapping the brain, they could record knowledge and uncover truths about the world. The problem was, a nasty group called Yogini had stepped in. They anesthetized brains, cut them open, and pushed beyond human limits. They even invited her to join their dirty little circle, but she had refused. Later, she and Ray walked through the forest, reminiscing about old training days. She asked if he had made friends at the academy. He smiled, saying yes. Amelia, Evi, and Elisa. He even mentioned Elisa adored her book. Lydia chuckled, telling him to bring those friends next time so she could see what kind of people put that smile on his face. Ray promised he would. Time moved on, and news spread that the big magic competition was near. Ray confirmed it was the tournament between the 3 academies, and Lydia added that she had won it 4 times herself. She said Ray could do the same if he went all out. Ray smirked, saying it was better to stay low-key since people wouldn't like it if he stole the spotlight, plus he wanted to share chances with his friends. She let him decide, handing him a small book for when he needed anything from the city. Ray accepted it gratefully. The next morning, Ray went for his usual jog. Passing Elisa's place, he spotted her heading out. She said she was going to the library, so he tagged along. They changed into nicer outfits first. Ray teased that she looked cute, and she shot back that he looked handsome. She explained the reason for dressing up was simple. Since they were going out together, they might as well look decent. At the library, Elisa buried herself in academic texts, while Ray, oddly enough, flipped open a love novel. He claimed he wanted to understand emotions better since love wasn't something he really grasped. Later, they strolled side by side, unaware Clarice was spying from behind a tree. She muttered to herself, shocked to see Ray hanging out with a girl. Ray spotted her and casually invited her to join them for lunch. Clarice's face lit up, and she agreed right away. At the restaurant, the three of them laughed, swapped compliments, and enjoyed food that tasted better than usual with good company. Afterward, they split and headed back to their rooms. As Ray walked off, he noticed Amelia stepping out of a carriage. She complained about endless noble meetings for the upcoming competition, looking drained. Ray complimented her outfit, saying it suited her well. When he admitted he had gone to lunch with Elisa and Clarice, Amelia's smile tightened. A spark of jealousy flickered as she asked him to spend time with her too.
Jealous?
Ray agreed, and they went shopping. Amelia tried on different outfits, while Ray casually tossed compliments that made her blush. When she asked how he talked so easily with girls, he said he had grown up surrounded by them, so it came naturally. Suddenly, a spider dropped in front of her. Amelia squealed, clung to Ray, and bolted inside. Blushing, she later insisted the slip was her fault, not his. Watching her, she quietly thought that maybe one day Ray would tell her who he really was. Soon after, Ray's teacher pulled him aside. She asked if he was enjoying academy life. Ray said he was. She admitted she used to worry about him, knowing nobles treated him poorly, and apologized for not protecting him better. She confessed she had been teaching for years, but still struggled to reach her dream of becoming a sorcery researcher. She blamed herself, saying if she had taught properly, the nobles wouldn't act like dirty brats toward a commoner. She promised him that if he ever needed help, she was there. Ray thanked her, calling himself lucky to have such a teacher and such friends. Elsewhere, Albert's group noticed he had gone missing since the forest exam. The scene cut to Albert himself, training furiously with fire magic. His voice cracked as he shouted that he would never spare Ray, vowing revenge. Above him, the same masked man who revived the monster watched silently from the shadows. Ray White and Albert Allium were sweating it out in the club gym with the others, both pushing past their limits. When the session wrapped up, Evi Armstrong nudged Ray about grabbing protein, but Ray brushed him off, saying he had things to handle. Later, Elisa Griffith handed Ray a spare key to the clubroom since the others were missing, and he usually arrived before Rebecca Bradley. She downplayed it like it was nothing. Using that key, Ray stepped in and walked right into Rebecca changing. He slammed the door shut, red in the face, while Rebecca shouted from inside. Ray muttered to himself that maybe Rebecca had a thing for some guy named Manish and tried to move on. Not long after, Rebecca served him tea brewed from plants the gardening club had grown. Ray apologized again for barging in, but Rebecca waved it off, saying her gym class ended early and she had been mid-change. She admitted she used to wear big, clunky undergarments and asked him to forget the whole ugly scene. He agreed quickly, and they shifted to the library, where she showed him an old gardening record book filled with tricks not in standard guides. She explained how flowers could be modified with precise techniques, almost like surgery. Ray was hooked, and Rebecca laughed, saying she felt oddly happy teaching him since she normally kept people at a distance thanks to her family's baggage. Ray wanted to learn more, and Rebecca warned she was strict, which Ray accepted without fuss. She let him borrow the book. Later, sitting together, Rebecca talked about Amelia,
Well, it does sound like Amelia is the big favorite to win.
the famous leader from one of the top 3 families. Ray asked about the third family, and Rebecca explained it was the all-green line, always present from the start, and hinted Amelia might be tied to them. Training rolled around next, where Amelia beat Gina without breaking a sweat, and then challenged Ray. Their spar turned sharp fast. Amelia praised his sword work, admitting his talent was unmatched, and Ray felt oddly happy hearing it. Mid-fight, he flashed back to forest training with a mysterious man, nearly losing control before pulling back. The teacher called Amelia the winner, surprising her and leaving her curious about Ray's real identity.
And the winner is Miss Amelia Rose.
Albert lurked nearby, simmering with jealousy. At dinner, Rose and the others brought up Ray's fight. Avery admired his sword skills and asked about his training. Ray explained his master had drilled him not just in swordplay but in life itself, with training so brutal that the academy felt like paradise in comparison. The others quietly suspected there was more to him than he let on. Soon after, Albert issued Ray a duel challenge. They gathered at the fighting grounds, where a barrel sat ominously nearby. Albert tossed a real steel sword at Ray, claiming Sosari rules allowed it. Everyone froze. Using live steel in a spar was dirty business. Albert charged, but Ray parried clean, caught the blade, and steadied himself. Velvet watched with a sly smile. Albert's anger boiled as Ray dodged smoothly. Demanding answers, he ranted while swinging. Ray simply said he wouldn't fight Albert's way, and then tapped into his magic. Albert spilled his tragic family story, whining about being from a once proud house dragged down by others, and how he swore to lift its name. Mid-fight, a voice whispered in his ear, telling him to kill Ray, and he snapped.
Command you to kill Ray White.
Albert went berserk, swinging wild, even aiming at Ray's friends. Ray shielded them and cut through Albert's next strike, leaving the crowd stunned. Velvet fumed, throwing out heavier blows, but Ray blocked and dodged calmly, pressing forward. Velvet accused him of hiding noble roots, but Ray dismissed it, saying he was just someone who could wield Source this way. Albert grew desperate and summoned a fiery dragon extension, but Ray split it with one slice, leaving Albert crumpled on the ground, crying like a loser who couldn't believe what he had seen. His friends rushed in, shocked and speechless. Amelia told Ray he would need to come clean eventually, while Avery echoed the thought. Before Ray could answer, a crushing wave of magic knocked everyone flat except him. A masked figure appeared, declaring the students' sacrifices for Sosori's progress. The figure tore at a man's flesh, and Ray recognized the attacker, Professor Gray in disguise. Horrified, Ray told his friends the truth could wait, since he had to fight Gray first. Gray laid it bare. The Academy's experiments aimed to alter students' brains, shifting their engrams to push their potential. She admitted Ray's mind fascinated her most. She bragged about using the chaos of the exam to unleash monsters and kidnap students, manipulating Albert's pride into rage as part of her trap. She boasted she had captured plenty of strong students and expected her rank to rise because of it. Ray shot back that Albert had been provoked, but Gray gloated that his arrogance made the trap easy. She teased Ray, asking what he thought of her performance. Ray promised to snap one of her arms. Gray smirked, saying she would keep him alive for study, and backed away while sending a snake-like sound attack behind him. Ray struggled against it as she mocked him, saying running away made the fight boring.
Tell me, Ray.
Ray glanced at his friends in danger, and remembered his master's warning that in desperate times he could call on the ice spread source. He activated it, and energy spread like a shield before his friends, blocking Gray's attack. Shocked, Gray stared, unable to believe it. Ray shifted into source form, apologizing to his master for breaking his promise. Blades of energy formed around him, leaving Gray in disbelief. He calmly told her the power existed within him, but she spat back that it was a lie. She hurled a massive fireball, but Ray erased it with a blade strike. Furious, she fired an even bigger spell, which he canceled with antimatter code. Gray panicked and tried to escape, but Ray cut her legs, dropping her hard. Writhing in pain, she begged, offering him leadership under Eugonic if he spared her, babbling about her precious research. Ray hesitated, but when she tried a dirty sneak attack, he brushed it aside. Trembling, she asked if he was a master. Ray pressed a blade to her throat, saying her strength wasn't enough to topple one of the strongest among the seven. Gray admitted defeat and asked if he would kill her. Ray told her she would live long enough to face punishment. Cornered, Gray pulled out an injection and drove it into her head, triggering a horrific transformation. Her body twisted into a monster as she laughed, blaming Ray for forcing her hand. She snarled that now he would give her the thrill she craved. Ray White was locked in a brutal fight against his teacher, Abby Garnet, who had gone full monster mode. She threw fire like a maniac, filling the place with ugly waves of heat and destruction.
Deceleration.
But Ray walked through it without a scratch. Each blaze fizzled before it could even touch him, which drove Abby crazy. She couldn't wrap her head around why her fire meant nothing here. In anger, she pressed him for answers, but Ray explained calmly that his ice blades weren't regular weapons. They were pure essence, not material junk that could burn away. Abby groaned, saying she didn't get a word of it, and pushed him to dumb it down. Ray tried again, telling her it was about spreading energy, but she shook her head like a stubborn kid. Tired of talking, she charged with another blast. Before it landed, Lydia Ainsworth cut in with an anti-material technique that smothered the flames instantly. Abby grew restless and whined about why her power wasn't working, while Ray scolded her for asking loser-level questions when the truth was staring her in the face. The air started to buzz with strange vibrations as multiple sources resonated at once. Ray explained it came naturally to him, though with proper mental codes he could control them all, a feat most sorcerers couldn't dream of. He said elements could even be transformed into prime material. Abby snapped that it was impossible, but Ray admitted he didn't fully get it either. He just lived it. Their unconscious friends began to stir, catching sight of the clash. Abby struck harder, this time with mind interference, but Ray blocked every move with his keyblade. Suddenly, someone noticed blood dripping from him, his body starting to freeze at the edges. Abby smirked, crowing that he couldn't even control his own dirty power. She charged again, but Amelia Rose screamed in fear. Summoning the last of his strength, Ray invoked Flower Proficient, unleashing a tornado of ice that swallowed Abby whole, freezing her into a crystal statue. The crowd stood stunned at the sight of their teacher locked in frost. Ray activated the Chronos Lock and dropped back into human form. His friends rushed to him, but he gave a faint smile, saying he was glad he saved them without hurting anyone. The toll caught him, and he collapsed unconscious. The scene shifted to Lydia's camp, where Ray was brought for safety. Ariane Olgren assumed he must be Lydia's child, but Lydia explained she had only found him while chasing a strange voice. The camp leader protested, saying they couldn't keep him since their land was independent of the kingdom. Aubrey reminded him that Coast Village still held to old gods and rituals, even if the leader dismissed them as outdated. Aubrey insisted such powers were real, especially after the discovery of the court. When Ray woke up, the leader came to see him and found Ariane at his side. Still weak, Ray gave his name, and Ariane smiled kindly. She grew attached quickly, reading to him and asking him to say her name. He mispronounced it as Ariane, making her roll her eyes while everyone else laughed at his faint grin. A meeting followed about his future. Some argued he couldn't stay, but Ariane boldly said she would raise him. Ray himself chose to remain with her, which made her beam with pride as she hugged him
Let me stay with you.
and declared him her disciple. From that day on, he called her Master. 6 years later, Ray was seen in the Far East, mowing down enemies with ease. Though still young, he carried himself with the steel Lydia had drilled into him. His comrades respected him, though others whispered he was too young for the front lines. Ray pushed back, saying talent came with responsibility, and he would never abandon those he saw as family. His grit inspired them, even as the war with the evil empire loomed. In one battle, Ray watched a comrade die in front of him, and grief sent him spiraling. He overheated, losing control. Lydia tried to stop him, but he was gone, lost in rage. In that haze, he saw Howard Glenn, who urged him to live and promised to watch from above before fading. When Ray finally woke, Lydia was there, apologizing softly. Ray begged forgiveness, but she told him he had nothing to be sorry for, since she would have done the same. He asked about his companions, and Aubrey reassured him they had all survived. Relieved, he let his eyes close as Lydia stroked his head and reminded him to visit her whenever he could. Rebecca Bradley soon appeared, admitting she had worried. She told him to rest, then left. Later, Aubrey reflected on how she had once opposed Ray's admission into the academy, fearing nobles would tear him down. Having seen enough war and blood, she wanted him far from that ugly world. Yet when Lydia begged for his admission, a sight Aubrey had never seen, she relented. Back then, Aubrey had argued that Ray deserved happiness, that he needed friends his own age instead of endless battles. Returning to the present, she stepped outside, tears spilling as she thanked the gods he was safe. Through sobs, she wished him happiness. Inside, Ray whispered softly and wept as well. His friends arrived next, encouraged by Aubrey to go in. They rushed to Ray, relieved to see him awake. He told them he was fine, and apologized for hiding his identity as one of the 7 great sorcerers. He recounted fighting on the front lines with Lydia, overheating, and waking to a ruined battlefield with Lydia cradling him in blood. Since then, he had relied on Chronos Lock to keep himself in check. Amelia Rose asked if that was why some abilities stayed locked, and Ray nodded. He confessed he had hurt his master, spilled blood, and carried dirty sins behind fake smiles. He asked if he even deserved to stay among them.
Blood. After everything I've done.
Tears welled as he begged forgiveness. Amelia held his hand, assuring him he was not alone. The others echoed her, calling him their friend. Amelia hugged him, reminding him he wasn't carrying this alone anymore. The warmth of comradeship returned to him, and he thanked them deeply. That night, Albert Allium approached. Ray admitted his mistakes and asked forgiveness. Albert accepted, saying admitting fault was strength on its own. He called him White, but Ray asked to be called simply Ray. Albert respected that honesty and remarked that even with his strength, Ray stayed grounded. Ray said talent alone wasn't enough. Environment and hard work mattered. He urged Albert to reflect, since losers who admitted mistakes could still rebuild. Albert confessed he wanted approval, not hate, and vowed to set things right. Soon after, the students met their new teacher, Ariane Olgren. Her arrival shocked everyone, and the boys fell for her instantly. With a warm smile, she told them from now on they would have to look after her. Amelia Rose soaked in warm bathwater, replaying the shock of learning that Ray White was actually the Iceblade Sorcerer, one of the 7 strongest in existence. She had never imagined someone so ordinary on the surface could carry such a title, and the thought left her uneasy. The steam rising around her couldn't wash away her fatigue, and though people praised her talent daily, she secretly felt hollow. For all her noble blood and polished skills, she often believed she would never truly measure up. As she dried her hair, a memory crept in. Once, while changing, she had panicked at the sight of a spider, while Ray, standing nearby, had been calm as ice. That ugly little memory stuck with her, reminding her how fragile she seemed next to him. At the academy, Ariane Olgren stood tall before the students and laid out the details of the upcoming Magic Civil competition. 3 academies would battle it out, with the first stage as a direct elimination tournament for second years and above. 16 participants total, with their academy allowed 6 fighters since Rebecca Bradley had won last year. She compared the schools bluntly. Their academy had the best teamwork, the Divine Academy thrived on physical combat, and the third prided itself on research. Committee members would back the event. Finally, her gaze landed squarely on Ray, and she dumped responsibility on him before walking off. Albert Alliam's face soured at once. Later, he confronted Ray, grumbling about Ariane's involvement. Ray calmly pointed out she was capable and popular, but Albert snapped that she was impossible to control. He'd known her for years and still couldn't manage her. Now she was his teacher. Ray told him to chill, reminding him Ariane's true power hadn't even been shown yet. Suddenly, Ariane popped up behind him, asking what he had just said. Ray nearly bolted as she chased him down the hall. Later, Clarice Cleveland and Ray watched a match. Clarice asked who would win, and Ray instantly picked the girl, saying her strategy beat her weak source power. He was right, and Clarice muttered that he was frightening for being so sharp. In the next fight, Amelia won in 6 seconds flat, but walked away with a face that didn't look like victory. Albert noticed her gloom. She remembered her father's strict words, that as a rose she must never lose, especially not to a girl from All Green. Rebecca Bradley later explained that All Green was tied to the Divine Academy and carried an equally proud lineage. Rebecca admitted the girl was powerful, but insisted Amelia would shine regardless. Amelia proved her right by defeating Albert and qualifying first. Praise rained down on her, but she felt only the heavy weight of expectation. That night, she sought Ray out, and after talking, he agreed to train her, passing on the foundation his master had given him. Her mind drifted to childhood, when she first met Ariane at a noble's party. They became fast friends, even promising eternal friendship, but time soured things. When Ariane later beat her in a duel and offered a hand, Amelia refused. From that moment, distance grew. Now Amelia admitted Ariane had stayed the same while she had become chained to survival as a noble. The next morning, Amelia looked for Ray, but couldn't find him. Suddenly, a masked figure appeared. Ray, demanding she call him Master White. He named her his recruit and told her she must respond to his orders without hesitation. His first command? A 20-kilometer run around the academy with no magical boosts. Amelia froze, horrified. When she faltered, Ray barked at her to answer properly. Shaking, she obeyed and ran. Her lungs burned and her legs dragged, but Ray insisted this was the easy session. The next one would be harsher. Amelia almost cried at the thought that this hell was considered easy. By nightfall, after even lifting a rock that looked impossible, she collapsed in bed, convinced she had entered torture camp. Her dreams carried the weight. She saw Ariane walking away and fell to the ground crying, only for Ariane to turn back and hug her. Then the dream shifted absurdly. Clarice appeared in bunny girl clothes, confusing her more. Suddenly Ray barged in, pinned her against a wall, ate an apple, and casually offered her one. Amelia was left wide-eyed before jolting awake. Looking out the window, she saw the real Ray banging utensils together, making an ugly racket. Elisa Griffith stormed up, demanding to know what Ray was doing outside the girls' dorm at dawn. Ray insisted he was Master White, but Elisa scolded him for sneaking around. Flustered, he apologized, but slipped in a cheeky comment about how nice they looked in nightwear, which turned Elisa bright red. Amelia tried sneaking off, but Ray tracked her down. On the way, he found Albert sitting alone, brooding. Ray asked why, and Albert muttered he needed time. Ray reassured him, saying he was already strong and would get stronger. The words lit a small fire in Albert's chest. Ray then asked Clarice and Rebecca if they had seen Amelia. They hadn't, but with his power he sniffed her out hiding nearby. He grabbed her hand and dragged her to the training grounds, refusing to let go. From the distance, Clarice and Rebecca sighed, remarking that Amelia looked like she was being worked half to death. The next day, Ray visited the bodybuilding club leader and asked them to support Amelia as cheerleaders. At first, the leader raised an eyebrow, but Ray explained their noise, and energy could boost her spirits. They eventually agreed. Before leaving, the leader gave Ray something he had ordered and reminded him to stay true to his beliefs. Ray accepted with a nod. The following morning,
Yes, sir.
Ray decided disguise was the best approach. He dressed as a girl, convinced the act was flawless. To stay hidden, he even crawled under a box to sneak through campus. Along the way, he bumped into a girl named Rory searching for her sister. When he stepped out from under the box, the two locked eyes in stunned silence, both unsure what kind of dirty scene they had just walked into. The academy grounds were busy when a girl helped a little child search for her elder sister. People around couldn't help whispering about how cute the girl looked. She introduced herself as Lily, while the child gave her name as Tina. That made Ray pause for a moment. As they walked, Tina pointed out her sister, Ariane. Tina rushed to sit with her while Lily gave her introduction. Ariane, sharp as ever, asked if she was even a student here. Lily admitted she wasn't, impressed that Ariane caught it so easily. Ariane praised her sharp eye and asked which academy she came from. At that moment, Ray dropped the fake voice and apologized for the lie, revealing his real name. Ariane realized he was the boy who had just recently joined Arnold Academy, the so-called ordinary student, now standing here disguised as a girl. She admitted his strength was impressive, but also called him strange for pulling such a trick. Ray felt embarrassed that rumors about him had already spread this far. Ariane thought it odd that an ordinary boy had helped her sister and decided she owed him a test. Their fight kicked off soon after. Ariane told him he could drop the formalities and just call her Ariane. She promised not to fight too dirty if he kept it light as well, but insisted he use his girl's voice again because hearing both versions unsettled her. Ray sighed and switched back. The match began, and Ariane's first strike shattered Ray's sword. He admitted her power was serious, and she thanked him for the respect. When the fight ended, Tina left, and Ray complimented Ariane by saying her sister would grow up to be just as cute and influential as her. Ariane blushed and teased that he was strange for always talking like that. Ray explained he was raised to always compliment a girl, which only made her laugh more. When Ariane asked if he studied at Chabelle, Ray explained he would instead serve as a committee member, helping Amelia train. That revelation caught her off guard, but she admitted Rose was lucky to have him. Ray replied confidently that Rose would become stronger, maybe even surpass her one day. Ariane smiled, saying she would be waiting for that day. Later, another girl came running in tears and nearly stumbled, but Ray caught her. Flustered, she insisted she was fine, but held his hand before he left, asking his name. He introduced himself as Lily White, and she gave hers as Maria. Ray quickly realized she was Rebecca's younger sister. Maria confirmed it, explaining her sister had taken good care of him, and confessed that after seeing them both, she had decided to join the academy next year. She even asked him to wait for her. Meanwhile, Amelia was still training hard until she nearly collapsed. Clarice handed her water. Soon after, Ray showed up in his disguise, and Amelia immediately knew it was him despite the look. Relieved, she told him her training was going well, and he nodded, explaining he had just returned from a mission. Not long after, Ray took his friends to his master Lydia's home. They looked nervous walking in. Lydia smiled, saying Ray seemed to have grown, though he denied it. He introduced his friends proudly. Albert greeted her politely, earning praise. Elisa nervously followed, and Lydia surprised her by asking for an autograph since she was a fan. Clarice introduced herself too, and Lydia revealed she knew her family's intentions. She showed Clarice a platinum card, reminding her that being noble wasn't what mattered. What mattered was what someone did to grow. Amelia introduced herself next, and Lydia noted they had met before at parties. She then pulled Amelia aside for a private talk. In another corner, Carla spoke quietly with Ray in the kitchen. She revealed troubling news. The Empire had its eyes on Greenery. She feared their assassination group might strike soon, maybe even at the tournament. Ray asked questions, but Carla admitted she didn't know much beyond the timing, warning him to stay cautious. In her private talk with Amelia, Lydia explained that in a letter, Ray had mentioned her. She felt Amelia was hiding something and wanted her to trust her friends more. Lydia explained Ray had once been cold and emotionless, but after time with soldiers and then at the academy, he had started to feel again. She said the friendships he was building mattered deeply, and Amelia needed to open herself up in the same way. Later, Lydia invited everyone swimming, and the group got excited. That night, Ray trained with Evi, both of them carrying slap marks on their cheeks from sparring. Ray admitted he hadn't expected to run into Evi and Rebecca there. By morning, Master White resumed Amelia's training, telling her it was time for her boot camp graduation test. Her task was simple but tough: cut the rose emblem on his chest. He promised he wouldn't use his abilities and told her he believed in her. Fired up, Amelia gave it her all. At the same time, Elisa motivated the rest of the students. She told them to use the tournament not just to win, but to learn and grow stronger together. Excitement swept through the academy as the contest began. Amelia soon met Ariane again. Ariane noted how long it had been, shook her hand, and said she would wait for her in the finals. She later appeared as one of the commentators alongside Carol, who would also analyze the matches. The first match saw Amelia versus Shreen from Mark's Academy. Cheers from her club rang out. Abby laid down the rules: either knock out your opponent or slash the rose emblem. Shreen attacked fast, but Amelia leaped clear and baited him into her trap, which burned away his rose. She was declared the winner. Carol praised her strategy, saying it was rare to prepare such a trap so perfectly. Millie added that Amelia looked destined for the championship. Afterward, Ray moved to his committee duties. He met Albert, who was preparing for his turn. Their fight began with sharp exchanges, and soon Ariane unleashed her ability, blasting Albert across the arena. Many thought it was over, but Albert stood again, remembering Ray's words. He fought back, disarmed her, and looked ready to win. Ariane, unfazed, caught his sword with her bare hands, broke it, and dropped him with a solid punch. Albert crashed down, defeated. Looking up at the sky, he muttered how beautiful it was. Ray's friends realized that this meant Amelia would soon face Ariane head-on. Meanwhile, Ray headed off quietly, unaware that someone shadowed him from a distance. Back in the arena, Carol lifted the crowd's energy with a song, warming them up for the finals. Ray was on his way somewhere when a strange creature nearly jumped him. He felt danger breathing down his neck, spun around, and found no one. Instead, the environment shifted, and the club leader appeared out of nowhere. That alone left him scratching his head. Soon they stepped into a room where Answer and Carol were waiting, flanked by a bunch of masked weirdos. Ray asked what the deal was, and they told him first he needed the history lesson about the Hell family. Kayla explained that the family had a dirty business of kidnapping and supplying intelligence agents. Answer chimed in, adding that Kayla herself was one of the best spies in the kingdom. Ray half-joked if she was some sort of Indian agent, which earned him a straight face and a thank you for looking after her younger brother. When Ray asked who, the club leader casually revealed he was Lex, her brother. The mood shifted until Baby butted in, pulling them back to the point. Their real purpose was far uglier, hunting down and killing noble daughters. Everyone was told to stay sharp. While this heavy talk went on, news broke that Samadhi had won and was moving to the finals. Kids in the audience buzzed with chatter, while Ray and Abby watched quietly. Then Crash and Elisa arrived with bad news. Rose hadn't left her room, wasn't speaking, and clearly had something eating at her. Meanwhile, in the arena, Lucas from some American academy crushed his opponent in 2 seconds flat, setting a nasty record. Clarif and the others were left wide-eyed. As Lucas walked off, he gave Ray a cold, unsettling stare. Elsewhere, Haryana was in the middle of training, smashing a punching bag until it ripped. Her father and Tiana entered, praising her strength. Her father reminded her that her big match was tomorrow, and she boldly promised victory. Back with Abby, Eyewear urged him to check on Rose. He hesitated, then agreed, and went to her room. Standing outside, he admitted through the door that he'd always been scared of breaking her heart, so he avoided getting close. But now, he wanted to understand her and treasure it. That finally drew Rose out. Inside, she broke down. She confessed she'd been faking strength, crushed under everyone's expectations. No matter how hard she tried, she felt trapped in a cage she couldn't break. Jason told her comparing pain was useless, but admitted she'd suffered a lot. Rose whispered about life feeling meaningless, that winning was impossible against Haryana, that maybe she'd always be a loser in the end. Jason reminded her life itself might not have meaning, but humans could create reasons: friends, laughter, support, even crying together. That was enough. He told her he wanted to live like that, with her. She asked if he'd stay despite her weakness. He said it didn't bother him. She hugged him hard and cried until sleep pulled her under. Jason held her hand the whole time, remembering how she'd once burned his chest in training when her hidden power had slipped out. That memory only deepened his trust now. By morning, the finals were about to kick off. Rose's friends gathered, Haryana's father sat in the stands, and Ray slipped in a little late. Ari asked about Rose, and Ray said she was fine. FB and Elisa looked relieved, though Clash stiffened when he heard Ray had been with her the night before. Baby teased that Ray had suddenly matured, and Elisa said it was thanks to Rose. Clash arrived late, but just in time. Down below, Ray gave Rose a rose of her own, and told her the moment had come. She asked for a hug, and he gave it without hesitation. At that same time, Lex caught a signal, muttered about urgent business, and disappeared. Rose, smiling, headed into the arena. Suddenly, word came that Clance and several other kids had gone missing, possibly dragged beneath the arena. Ray went down and found Clash and the others. He scooped up the badly injured Crash, but before he could get far, a field activated and locked them off from the outside. Grim Reapers spilled into the space. Crash begged Ray to put him down, but Ray ignored him, dropped his Chronos power, and blocked the attacks. The Reaper leader snapped his fingers, smothering the place in darkness, but Ray tore it apart with a counterspell, flooding the room with light. The shockwave even froze Haryana and Rose's fight above. Carol muttered that Ray had used an anti-magic field. The Reapers tried to bail, but Ray wasn't letting losers like them walk away. He froze them where they stood. Lex reappeared and asked if the mess was over. Ray nodded, saying he hadn't killed them. Lex told him to leave cleanup duty to them and get back upstairs. Ray agreed. In the arena, Haryana and Rose's match had reached a boiling point. Neither wanted to be called the loser. Haryana cranked up her power, throwing herself forward with frightening speed. A heavy punch knocked Rose back. She tried to fight, but Haryana was sharper, dodging her strikes and landing another blow that dropped her hard. Her father scowled in the stands. Even then, Rose clawed her way back up. Haryana warned it was over, but she too was hitting her limits. Rose's mind filled with memories of her friends, giving her the strength to rise. At that moment, Ray's voice echoed across the arena, urging her to stand. She pulled herself up, determination burning. The recording magic caught everything as Rose powered up, leaving Haryana stunned. Rose spun with elegance and shouted her final move, unleashing the butterfly effect. Ariana clashed head-on with Amelia, only to be thrown off by something she couldn't explain. The moment her hand brushed against one of those butterflies, her direction snapped sideways, and she stumbled back looking lost. She tried again, but the exact same thing happened. Amelia reminded her calmly that she had already warned her. Testing her was a waste of time. Carla, watching closely, explained it was Amelia's original technique, the butterfly effect, where cause and effect itself got rewritten. No matter what Ariana pulled, she wasn't landing a clean hit. Rebecca leaned forward, asking if this trick meant something deeper. Amelia admitted she wasn't completely sure. She then told Ariana to just accept defeat, but Ariana's pride wasn't having it. She lunged again, and once more, the butterflies twisted her momentum. This time one even blew up in her face, leaving her bruised and bleeding on the ground. Her father and Tiana froze in worry. At the same time, blood ran from Amelia's nose. Carla muttered that Amelia was overloading herself. Even with blood dripping from her mouth, Amelia refused to quit, and Ariana, stubborn as ever, declared the same. They went at each other again and again. The crowd started cheering, swept up by the madness. Strangely enough, both girls smiled through the pain, trading blows like rivals who lived for this. Then the scene cut, and Ariana blinked to find herself in Amelia's arms. Amelia, relieved, told her she had grown stronger. Ariana, already crying, admitted it too. Amelia, also teary, said her strength had always come from chasing Ariana since childhood. She thanked her deeply. Ariana hugged her back, asking forgiveness and recalling their old promise to stay friends forever. Finally, she accepted defeat and congratulated Amelia as the champion. The arena erupted with cheers. Arnold's father and Clarice cheered, Amelia's supporters screamed her name, and even Amelia's father started clapping. Elisa was overjoyed. Arnold's father leaned toward Amelia's father and told him to admit his pride. Amelia's father, hiding a smile, replied that she would only grow stronger from here. Ray slipped through the crowd, asked Amelia if she was all right, and she reassured him, bandaged but smiling. She blushed slightly, remembering his promise to always stay by her side, though she brushed it off as just friendship. Curious, she asked if he had known about her butterfly effect. Ray admitted he had only sensed potential during training and said her victory came from her own hard work. He congratulated her sincerely. Amelia thought to herself that without him, she would still be that caged bird. Focus shifted quickly to the last match. Ariane stepped in against Lucas. She unleashed her power at full force, but Lucas simply raised his sword, wrapped it in a strange aura, and shattered her rose with one decisive strike. The fight ended before it even started. The stadium exploded in applause as Lucas lowered his blade humbly, thanking the crowd. When whispers spread about inherited power, Lucas admitted the secret was out. He said he had expected it anyway and explained why he, someone already known as Death, had entered the tournament. He wanted to fight as a student, on equal ground, and prove Death was the strongest even without the title. Before leaving, he warned Ariane to recover from her overload, or she'd never fight at full strength again. As he walked away, he promised to wait next year. Meanwhile, Lydia and her squad reached the Grim Reapers. Clarice tried to flex her abilities, but the results turned messy and strange. Lydia scolded her, telling her to cut the clowning and focus. When they pressed the captured Reapers for intel on their boss, the killers said nothing. Instead, they triggered self-destruction, blowing themselves apart. Shock hit the group. Albert and Rebecca couldn't believe anyone would go that far. Later, everyone gathered back at the arena for the closing ceremony. Carol took her seat, Lilia nearby, while Abby stood tall. She praised the students for giving such high-level fights despite still being learners. Rebecca was shown glancing upward, lost in thought. Abby's speech wrapped up, and the very next day, the classroom buzzed again. The teacher explained that they would start preparing for the cultural festival, and their class would run a maid cafe. That set off protests immediately, nobles whining that acting as servants was beneath them. A quick flashback showed Amelia and Ray's earlier chat. Amelia had argued passionately for the cafe, saying maids were charming, loyal, and downright adorable. Ray had agreed they were pretty cute. Elisa chimed in with her own suggestion. The skirts should be a bit shorter. Ray, confused, asked if it even mattered. Elisa swore it did and asked for his support. Ray, amused, told the class they would use style to challenge tradition, highlighting how maids had their own kind of appeal. Soon after, Carol appeared in a maid outfit, cool as ever, and told them they looked lovely. That sealed the deal. Everyone gave in, agreeing to the cafe. Ray thanked Carol for saving the pitch. Then chaos hit. Clarice came running, breathless, announcing urgent news. Amelia and Ray turned instantly serious. Clarice dropped the bomb. Rebecca's engagement had just been announced. Both froze in shock. At that same time, Rebecca was shown walking away with an unfamiliar man, leaving the academy behind. Soon after, another companion arrived and effortlessly stole a man's mind. The group dismissed the victim as another assassin from a rival faction and shifted focus. They needed a vessel, what Jason termed a monster. Mars's man confirmed a girl was indeed one, verified through magic. Another voice declared it was finally time for revenge. Elsewhere, someone's eyes bled in silence. By the next morning, Rebecca resumed her academy duties, where Ray congratulated her on her engagement. Though she smiled politely, her unease was clear. Meanwhile, Rose and Elisa prepared maid outfits for the festival. Elisa resisted, but Ray teased her until she blushed and agreed. The class worked hard on decorations, inspired by Ray's speech, and Albert joked that the real motivation was their love for maid outfits. Ray later met Sarah, updating her on the class. She explained the student council refused to join because Cornelia believed Rebecca had stolen Evan, her supposed fiancé. Ray offered to help despite his own workload. Soon after, Sierra confided her suspicion that Rebecca's sudden engagement was a cover, urging Ray to protect her. Lady echoed this warning, instructing him to investigate Evan. Though Ray described him as a high-ranking noble, she insisted the engagement was suspicious. They joked about the maid cafe, but Lady's words lingered. That evening, Rebecca's secret surfaced. Blood streamed from her eyes, and she recalled a dream with Ravi. When confronted by her younger sister Maria, she brushed it off. Later, she coldly admitted to Mary that her engagement was duty, though she wept alone. A flashback revealed Maria's struggles with being compared to her perfect sister. Back in the present, Mary stormed away in tears after Rebecca again dismissed her concern. At the festival, the girls dazzled in their maid outfits. Ray praised them warmly, but Rose asked him to watch over Rebecca. Clara appeared in a ghost outfit, and Ray reassured her she looked cute. Later, Ray walked Rebecca home. She confessed she would no longer dance, and Evan soon arrived to collect her. Afterwards, Rex led Ray to Carla, who revealed that Evan's mansion had been abandoned for years. Someone had been impersonating him. Lady concluded his true goal was Rebecca's family heirloom. Meanwhile, the monster and masked man returned. The stranger declared Rebecca would soon become a saint and open the gate of ambition, before revealing his hidden identity. Rebecca was haunted by the memory of Evan trying to take her eyes, his smug warning that if she registered, her sister would be in danger. The thought weighed heavily on her. At a bar later, Ray clashed with Amelia, but Lydia intervened, dragging him away while someone else observed from the shadows. Back at the academy, Ray sat with Rebecca, deep in thought. Elisa announced someone wanted to see him, and outside he met Clarice. She admitted she always felt compared to Rebecca, calling herself a failure. Yet, Rebecca's kindness inspired her to help her sister. Ray reassured her, calling her pure-hearted, and promised to protect Rebecca. Clarice hugged him, unaware Rebecca was secretly watching, troubled by what she saw. That night, Ray spoke with Evi, reading Lydia's love story about a demon girl learning emotions only to be abandoned by the boy she loved. The tale left both thoughtful. By morning, the maid cafe was in motion. Ray, disguised as Lily White, entertained the crowd, winning over everyone, even making Clarice faint from excitement. Later, Ray enjoyed the festival with Rebecca, sharing a quiet moment before she hesitated to invite him to the fireworks. Clarice, on her way home, was approached by a mysterious white-haired girl, warning that Rebecca would do it very soon. Elsewhere, whispers grew that Rebecca needed saving. Meanwhile, her pain worsened. Blood poured from her eyes as Clarice overheard her cries. The next day, Rebecca asked Ray to look after Clarice, since she herself was now engaged. She admitted Clarice was imperfect, but had a good heart. Later, Ray, still in disguise, comforted Clarice at the cafe when Evan appeared and suddenly abducted Rebecca. Ray sensed danger and alerted Amelia, rushing after them. In the forest, Evan declared the time had come. At the same moment, a masked man and his master unleashed an army of monsters. Ray fought bravely, joined by his friends, while Amelia's butterfly effect shielded Rebecca. As a barrier enclosed the battlefield, Clarice arrived. Evan revealed he had been waiting for her. When a monster attacked her, Ray saved her. Urged by Amelia and the others to move forward, Ray abandoned his disguise and pressed on. Lydia then revealed the truth. Rebecca was the new Cruz, cursed to bleed endlessly and die before 20 unless she could control her power. The curse also left Clarice pale, a painful after-effect of her sister's fate. Evan resurfaced, admitting it had been 10 years since he met Ray. Near Rebecca, he revealed his true form as the white-haired girl seen before Clarice. Amelia attacked him, accusing him of stealing her name and vowing to kill him. Ray tried to reason, but Amelia demanded Crash to reach her goal. Lydia teleported in, shielded Evan, and flung him into another dimension. She told Amelia no one would touch him while she stood guard. Clarice nervously asked Ray if he would stay, and his arrival lifted her spirits. Monsters mocked him, but Lydia silenced them, revealing herself as from imaginary Earth. She explained Rebecca was overheating, and only Ray, who once resonated with her, could save her. Abyss shattered the barrier and battled Ray, who fought back in his ice form. In the other dimension, Evan boosted himself with a forbidden trick, but was badly burned by Lydia, who told him his body wouldn't last, and that Ray White was the true strongest. On the battlefield, Ray's friends struggled until Rebecca's group arrived, destroying monsters with overwhelming force. Rebecca told Ray it all depended on him. Abyss struck Ray brutally, but Ray activated material encoding and forged a sword, freezing Abyss in red ice. Defeated, Abyss admitted he now understood Ray's greatness. Afterward, Rebecca tried to help Ray, but Clarice slapped her, venting years of resentment over comparisons. Rebecca broke down, saying she had endured everything, while Clarice accused her of always acting alone. In tears, Rebecca confessed her love for her sister, triggering her awakening. Ray witnessed it, barely conscious. Lydia returned with a broken Evan, bitter that he had abandoned humanity. When Rebecca's overheat surged, Ray stepped in. He reassured her he respected her and that Clarice loved her too, then pressed his forehead to hers. Their resonance cooled her down. Their father later thanked Ray for saving both daughters. Rebecca then clung to Ray, sparking sibling rivalry as Clarice and even Elisa joined the argument over who he belonged to, ending in fireworks. Later, Ray visited Albert's grave, reflecting that after the war he had been lost, but now people accepted him as a student. Returning to the academy, Clarice asked him to practice magic with her. The episode closed with a young girl casually swatting a giant monster, sighing that it was boring and wishing her brother would come home.